It has been a big day for India. Let's talk about it now. Dr Makarand Paranjape is a professor from the Jawaharlal Nehru University. He's now joining us live from New Delhi. Professor Makarand, welcome to the program. First of all, do you agree with analysts who say that 2024 is a done deal, while others point out that a lot can still happen and nothing is iron cast in politics, having in mind the general elections is just 5 to 6 months away?
Yes, I think nothing is a done deal in Indian politics, and voters are capable of surprising you, even at the last moment, as we've seen here in Telangana, where the Congress was nowhere, but within 3 or 4 months, they came out right in the front and they won. But this is wishful thinking. I mean, as the Prime Minister himself said, and you quoted him, it's actually going to be a hat trick for the BJP, even at the center. At least all the signs seem to be pointing in that direction.
Professor Makarand, is this election a testimony to the BJP's organizational strength? And what lessons can Congress, the opposition, learn from these polls?
Yes, I think this is a magnificent tribute to the BJP's organizational strength, their determination to win, their will to power, their coordinated efforts, and frankly, the iron grip over the party of their central command, the high command. You can see that the Prime Minister was in Dubai at the climate summit. They were so sure that they had done their homework, they had done their last mile campaigning, that the leader could afford to just be out of the country when the victory margins were, being predicted otherwise in the exit polls in several cases, as well as the opinion polls. So the opposition, unfortunately, is in a complete disarray. The India alliance seems to be in tatters, and this might be actually the last blow in the coffin of that alliance, because the so-called allies are fighting with each other. They're not cooperating. But, 5 months is time for them. They're pushed against the wall, and a crisis, they say, brings out the best in you. I think my point here would be that they should concentrate on micromanaging individual constituencies, because you'll see in this election, the margin of victory has not always been high. It has been a closely fought election. So if they want to make a dent, they should identify constituencies where they have a chance and work unitedly there.
Doctor, I actually wanted to ask about the India alliance and the opposition's fate in the coming future, but you've rightly put it and you've rightly answered that. I want to move on to another aspect. While the BJP managed to overcome the anti-incumbency factor, even after 3 terms in Madhya Pradesh, the Congress was not able to overcome it in Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh. What do you make of that?
Well, in Rajasthan, the answer is obvious. There was so much infighting between the Chief Minister, Mr. Gehlot, and Mr. Pilot, his deputy, who is a younger, quite personable, well-spoken young man who appeals to a lot of people across party lines and across caste lines. But the infighting was so vicious, actually. At one time, Pilot wanted to split the party and leave. Somehow he was dissuaded to stay back. And in the end, the Rajasthan Congress is in tatters. Chhattisgarh is a little more complicated, because the opinion polls were predicting a victory for Mr. Bhupesh Baghel, the Chief Minister who's just had to demit office, but they miscalculated, it would seem. I think there was complacency there, and the last minute so-called Mahadev app scandal, corruption scandal, I think that dented the image of the incumbent, the last Chief Minister, not the incumbent. And frankly, that also worked against the Telangana 10-year reign of the BRS and their popular Chief Minister, Mr. Rao, because there were corruption charges. And I think there's been a much higher level of intolerance towards corruption today in India, what with social media and everything being out in the open. I think people feel cheated of development funds when there is corruption, and therefore they vote out parties and leaders who are perceived to be corrupt.
Doctor, finally, before I let you go, I have 2 questions I have to ask you, and I would ask you to be brief with them. brief with the responses. Let's talk about the man who represents Congress. How do the election results reflect upon the leadership of Rahul Gandhi, who has been positioning himself as an alternative to Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
I doubt whether he has, or even his party advisors have positioned himself as an alternative. You know, if you want to give him the benefit of doubt, he seems like a sincere young man who, in fact, is clueless about the ground realities, the hard politics that is required to win power in India. And unfortunately, the dynastic tendencies of the Congress party are unable to come up with another leadership, strategy or a leadership, even a team, because the Congress is still full of competent people. So unless they solve this problem, I'm not sure how they're going to make headway anywhere.
All right. My final question. The results are also a reflection of dynasty politics, as some analysts have pointed out. Congress losing out in the Hindi heartland and winning in Telangana. Does that have any inclination to such era or form of politics?
Well, it does. As I said, Telangana shows that the Congress is still a major player all over India and can step in when there's a vacuum of power and when the populace or the citizenry is not inclined to BJP and their ideology of Hindutva. But actually, if you ask me, this election is a tribute to brand Modi. See, Prime Minister Modi has managed to project himself not just as a national leader, but as an international leader. And the common people feel that the future of India is secure with him. The economic future of India, the security of India, the global image of India, and above all, Indian self-pride and the ability to make it in this complicated world, not just to survive. So he appeals to the aspirational India, the young India, and I don't think the opposition has any answer. They don't have any alternative narrative to that appeal of brand India.
All right. Dr. Makarand R Paranjape, thank you very much for all your insights and for talking to WION World is One today.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.